It was a chilly evening when Emma sat nervously at the small cafe, clutching her worn leather purse. Inside, she had exactly $5, all that remained after paying rent and groceries for the week. She glanced around anxiously, smoothing her faded dress and hoping her blind date wouldn't notice the trembling in her hands. Across the room, at a corner table, Ethan Cole, the wealthy CEO of Cole Enterprises, sipped his coffee quietly. He had come for a casual meeting but couldn't help noticing the young woman sitting alone, her eyes full of quiet hope. Something about her looked familiar. Then he remembered, she worked in his mansion. She was his maid. Emma had been kind and hard-working, always polite, never asking for anything. But seeing her outside her uniform, sitting so nervously, made Ethan curious. He watched discreetly as a tall man entered the cafe, confidently scanning the room. Emma smiled softly and stood up to greet him. "Hi, I'm Emma," she said shyly, offering her hand. The man looked her up and down with a smirk. "You're Emma? From the dating app?" He laughed mockingly. "You didn't mention you were a maid." Emma's smile faltered. "Does it matter what I do? I work hard." He scoffed. "Work hard? For what, $5 an hour?" He leaned back in his chair, loud enough for others to hear. "I thought I was meeting someone classy. Not someone who smells like cleaning supplies." A few people in the cafe turned to look. Emma's face burned with shame. She tried to stay calm, her eyes watering. "Please, can we just talk? I don't have much time off." He cut her off, laughing again. "Oh, I'm sure you don't. Probably gotta get back to scrubbing toilets for your boss." Ethan's jaw tightened as he listened. His chest filled with anger. He had seen arrogance before, but this cruelty, made his blood boil. Then came the final blow. The waiter arrived with the bill, and Emma quickly reached into her purse. "I can pay for my coffee," she whispered, pulling out a crumpled $5 bill. Her date sneered. "Keep your $5. You'll need it more than I do." He threw his napkin on the table and stormed out, leaving Emma sitting there, humiliated and on the verge of tears. Ethan couldn't sit still. He rose, walked over to her table, and gently placed his hand on the back of her chair. "Emma," he said softly. She froze. When she looked up and saw her employer, her heart nearly stopped. "Mr. Cole," she stammered, wiping her tears. I'm so sorry you had to see that. I'll leave now." "Don't," he interrupted, pulling out a chair and sitting across from her. "You did nothing wrong." Emma lowered her eyes. "I just wanted to feel normal for once. To talk to someone who didn't see me as just a maid." Ethan's voice softened. "And that man, he made you feel less than you are. But Emma, you are anything but ordinary." She looked at him, surprised. "Sir." Ethan smiled gently. "You work harder than anyone I know. You care for everyone around you. Do you know how rare that is?" For a moment, neither spoke. The cafe buzzed quietly around them, but it felt as if time had slowed. Ethan suddenly reached for the bill and tucked his card inside. "Let me take you somewhere," he said. "Sir, I can't." "This isn't about pity," he interrupted again. "It's about respect." He led her out to his car, sleek, black, and far too expensive for someone like her. But instead of driving to a fancy restaurant, Ethan took her to a small hill outside the city. The skyline glimmered in the distance. "I come here when I forget what's real," he said quietly. "When life starts to feel like numbers and profits." Emma smiled faintly. "It's beautiful." Ethan turned to her. "So are you." She blushed, not knowing how to respond. For a long time, they talked, about dreams, struggles, and the pain of being judged. Emma told him about her mother's illness, the debts, and why she'd taken the maid job despite having a college degree she could never afford to use. Ethan listened, truly listened, for the first time in years. And something inside him shifted. Over the next few weeks, he started giving her small opportunities, helping with event planning at his company, assisting with charity work. Emma shined. Her intelligence, compassion, and creativity astonished everyone. Word spread fast. Soon, she wasn't just the maid anymore, she was Ethan's trusted assistant. Her confidence grew, her voice steadied, and she began to believe in herself again. Then one morning, Ethan called her into his office. "Emma," he said with a warm smile, "I have a proposition." She tilted her head curiously. "What kind?" He slid a document across the desk. It was a business partnership, a chance to lead a new charity foundation for underprivileged women. Her name was listed beside his. Emma gasped. "I don't deserve this." "Yes, you do," he said firmly. "You've earned it." Tears filled her eyes. "Thank you, Ethan. For believing in me when no one else did." He smiled softly. "You believed in yourself first, Emma. I just noticed." Months later, the foundation became one of the most successful projects in the city. Emma's story, from maid to director, inspired countless others. One evening, as they stood together on that same hill overlooking the city, Ethan looked at her and said, "You know, I never forgot that day in the cafe." Emma smiled. "Neither did I. It was the day everything changed." He took her hand gently. "For both of us." And as the city lights flickered below, Emma realized that sometimes, humiliation isn't the end, it's the beginning of a story where you finally learn your worth. Themes: dignity in hardship, inner strength and self-worth, the power of kindness and belief.